Every year, roughly 90% of professional fund managers fail to beat the S&P 500. Think about what that actually means. These are people with elite credentials, decades of experience, and access to research most investors will never see. And the vast majority of them still lose to a simple index fund that just owns 500 companies and does nothing. So when I started wondering whether you could build a smarter ETF portfolio, one that genuinely outperforms the S&P 500 with no stock picking, I honestly wasn't optimistic. Most of the evidence says just buy the index and leave it alone. But then I ran the backtest, and I didn't find nothing. I found four portfolios that each beat the S&P 500 over the last decade, not marginally, but significantly. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars in additional growth on a $100,000 investment. Today, I want to show you all four: the returns, the risks, the logic behind each one, and the portfolio I'd personally choose if I were building this right now. Before we get into the data, a quick transparency note. I ran all four portfolios through Portfolio Visualizer, covering January 2016 through December 2025. That's 10 full calendar years, with dividends reinvested and annual rebalancing. A couple of these ETFs don't have a full 10-year history on their own, so I use the underlying investment strategy to backfill where needed. For example, I'd use QQQM today. It's a newer, lower fee version, but for the backtest, I used QQQ since it has the full 10-year track record. Same underlying investment, different share class. And I want to say this clearly, a backtest shows what worked in the past. It is not a prediction. But understanding why certain portfolios outperformed, the actual reasoning behind the returns, is genuinely useful. That's what I want you to take away from this. As always, this is for educational purposes only, not personalized investment advice. Do your own research and make decisions based on your goals, your timeline, and how much volatility you can actually tolerate. If we're trying to beat the S&P 500, we need to know what we're actually measuring against. From January 2016 through December 2025, a $100,000 investment in a plain S&P 500 index fund grew to approximately $396,000. That's an annualized return of about 14.97%, with zero active management, zero research, and zero stock picking. Just own the market, wait a decade. And here's what makes this benchmark genuinely hard to beat. Most professionals can't, which is exactly why low-cost index funds are the default recommendation for most investors. They're efficient, they're simple, and they outperform the majority of active strategies over time. Every portfolio I'm about to show you has one goal: turn $100,000 into more than that $396,000. Let's see what happened. Portfolio 1, the Large Cap Growth Portfolio. 3 ETFs, simple allocation, and honestly, one of the most compelling options in today's video. Here's the breakdown. 50% VOO, Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. 25% QQQM, Invesco Nasdaq 100 ETF. 25% SPMO, Invesco S&P 500 Momentum ETF. VOO is the foundation. You still own the broad market, but it's an anchor, not your entire strategy. On top of it, you layer in QQQM, which concentrates your exposure into the Nasdaq 100. That means heavier weight toward companies like Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Meta, the names that drove the majority of market returns over the last decade. And then SPMO is where it gets interesting. It takes the S&P 500 and narrows it down to just the 100 stocks with the strongest price momentum over the past 12 months. Every 6 months, it rebalances, removing companies that have lost momentum, adding the ones that have gained it. You're not trying to predict the next winner. The ETF does it systematically, on schedule. The 10-year result? 18.18% annualized, turning $100,000 into approximately $495,570. That's nearly $100,000 more than just owning the S&P 500. And the maximum drawdown, the worst peak to valley decline over the entire period, was 25.35%. Compare that to the S&P 500's 23.91%. Slightly higher, but not dramatically. For nearly $100,000 in additional growth, that's a very reasonable trade-off. 3 funds, rebalance once a year. That's the whole strategy. Portfolio 2, the factor diversification portfolio. Here's where the conversation shifts. Because what if you don't want heavy exposure to large cap tech? What if 2022 happens again, when growth stocks dropped 30+% and you'd rather have structural protection built into the portfolio from the start? Portfolio 2 solves this with a completely different approach, diversification through factors, not sectors. 40% SPMO, momentum stays the foundation. 30% SCHD, Schwab US Dividend ETF. 30% AVUV, Avantis US Small Cap Value ETF. SCHD focuses on high-quality, dividend-paying U.S. companies with strong balance sheets and consistent dividend growth, the kind of businesses that tend to hold up when markets get difficult. AVUV goes in a very different direction, targeting small-cap value stocks, smaller companies trading at low valuations relative to their fundamentals. This is an area of the market that often gets overlooked, but it has historically outperformed over long stretches. Here's the key insight. Momentum, dividend stocks, and small cap value don't move in sync. They respond differently to different market environments. So instead of concentrating everything in one type of investment, this portfolio spreads its bets across 3 independent sources of potential return. Over 10 years, 17.75% annualized, turning $100,000 into approximately $478,860. Slightly below Portfolio 1 in raw return, but this is the part worth paying attention to. This portfolio had the lowest maximum drawdown of anything we tested, 23.8%. That's actually better than the S&P 500 itself. So you get better returns than the index, better downside protection than the index, and you're not depending on a handful of mega-cap tech names to carry your entire portfolio. For investors who worry about tech concentration, and honestly, there are good reasons to think about that, this is probably the most underrated option in today's video. Portfolio 3. I'm going to need you to bear with me here. 9 ETFs. Here's the full allocation. 30% VOO, 30% SCHG, 6% SPMO, 6% XMMO, 6% AVUV, 6% VGT, 6% SMH, 5% VEA, and 5% GLD. There is a logic here. Large cap growth as the core, momentum at 2 different market cap levels, large and mid, technology and semiconductors for AI era exposure, small cap value for factor diversification, a small international allocation, and a small gold position as a hedge when markets get turbulent. It's trying to do everything, capture every major factor, every major trend. The 10-year result? 18.27% annualized, turning $100,000 into approximately $499,380. Now, here's the punchline. After managing 9 ETFs, coordinating that many positions, tracking all those allocations at rebalance time, this portfolio finished just $3,800 ahead of the simple 3-fund large cap growth portfolio. $3,800 for 9 funds versus 3, and it carried the highest maximum drawdown of any portfolio tested, 26.6%. This is one of the clearest illustrations I've seen of why complexity doesn't equal better performance. The 3-fund portfolio captured virtually identical returns with a fraction of the overhead. If you're ever tempted to build a 9 ETF strategy, ask yourself honestly, is the extra complexity actually adding value or just adding noise? Portfolio 4, the concentrated bet. Portfolio 4 isn't really a portfolio, it's a single ETF, QQQ, the Invesco Nasdaq 100 ETF. Quick note, if you're investing today, use QQQM instead. Same underlying investment, lower fees. I used QQQ for the backtest because it has the full 10-year history. From January 2016 through December 2025, QQQ delivered an annualized return of 20.97%, turning $100,000 into approximately $619,770. By a wide margin, the highest returning investment in today's video. And the catch? A maximum drawdown of 32.58%. Let's sit with that number for a moment. At some point during this period, largely in 2022, when the Fed raised interest rates sharply and tech valuations got compressed, this portfolio fell nearly a third from its peak. To fully recover from a 32% loss, you need a 47% gain just to get back to even. That's not a minor inconvenience, that's a serious psychological test, and a lot of investors failed it. The people who captured QQQ's 10-year returns are the ones who stayed invested through 2022. Many didn't, and a portfolio with a 20% theoretical return means nothing if you sell at the bottom. I know what some of you are thinking right now. Just pick QQQ, the numbers are obvious. Here's my honest response to that. QQQ's outperformance over this period came primarily from a small cluster of massive technology companies dominating the global economy during a specific decade. That's not a repeating law of markets. It's a historical outcome shaped by very specific conditions: low interest rates, AI infrastructure spending, cloud adoption, and smartphone ubiquity all accelerating at once. The next 10 years might look completely different. And there's the behavioral reality. The best portfolio on paper is worthless if you can't hold it through a difficult year. If a 32% drawdown would cause you to make an emotional decision, sell, shift allocation, or just stop investing, your real return is whatever you locked in when you bailed. That's the gap between theoretical and actual. Beating the S&P 500 is possible. These 4 portfolios showed that over the last decade. But the real question was never just which portfolio returned the most on a backtest. It was which portfolio would you actually hold for the next 30 years? Because that's how wealth compounds, not through finding the perfect historical number, through choosing the right strategy for you, executing it consistently, and not letting market volatility make your decisions for you. Think carefully about which of these approaches fits your situation, and if you're not sure yet, that's worth figuring out before you invest a single dollar.